basically what we're doing, Casey, we're out this morning. We're test driving a 2011 Spyder. This is a Boxster platform, mid-engine. This is a PDK car. Great. Tell you what, I was never a big fan of the PDK, but I gotta say this car has shown me that I love PDK. Shifts fantastic. It works intuitively with the increase in torque. Just intuitive. It's just fabulous. Can't brag enough about it. This turbo system is a very unique system. This is utilizing the direct injection engine. Really the first of its kind. Although I must say, the new twin turbo is the exact same engine family. You have to remember it's the same motor block, same everything. It's really, they share a lot of components the same. This is a very low pressure ratio system where the twin turbo is a high pressure ratio system. This particular car is operating at about 0.3 bar max, really 0.25. So it's pretty low. It also features a non-intercooled system so that we utilize the central radiator for additional water cooling for the gearbox. These PDKs get pretty hot when they're really attacking them pretty fiercely. The reason we have opted to not do an intercooler also is because we've changed around the turbo configuration. This turbo is going to be at about 70% efficiency, pretty close to like a half an atmosphere. Pretty close to like, as far as pressure ratio, it's about a 0.8, 0.9 to 1 pressure ratio pump. And so when you're in near that 68 to 72% efficiency area, the discharge temperatures are pretty low. We've been able to maintain pretty much within 10 to 25 F of ambient, which is pretty scary. And that's what they used to do in the old days, in all fairness. Like my old motorcycle, my Honda, I've got an 82 Honda that's really the same approach. It is. It's the turbo, the efficiency island of it is exactly the pressure ratio that the engineer was looking for. Now in the old days that was a bad thing because what happened was you got a lot of lag, turbo lag. But in this modern era where we're using now, my Honda is a 2-valve configuration with a 7.5 to 1 piston. That's what they used to do. This car on the other hand is like 11.5, 12 to 1. So it's a very high compression ratio, but it's a multi-valve. And what that does is it gives it enough turbine energy so that the turbo seems almost seems like it's just it's like quarter throttle. It's just like it's a 5-liter 8-bagger.
It really just feels like more displacement.
That's all it feels like. You cannot, so it's amazing the modern technology of direct injection, higher compression, just the thought process of this 20-year span has been pretty amazing actually. I think we'll make a little loop around here. I'm really enjoying, I tell you what's really great. Listen how quiet. I've been driving with the window down. This is our standard system. Now, got to turn off traction control.
There you go.
I like being able to spin the tires over. It wants to stop me. But it's great. This is like Marshall problem.
Sounds great. It sounds just like the last kid.
You know what? It's really fabulous. It's quiet. It's got more torque. I mean, the bottom line is this. So you're making like 80 to 100 pounds per foot of torque everywhere in the RPM site. Whether you're at 2,500, 3,500, 4,500, 5,500, you're making 100 pounds per foot of torque more than factory out the rear tire. I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, that's what this little car was. That's pretty serious coming out of a little Spyder. We got to take the top down, have some fun here. This is a great car. I want to sell. We're turning in my 6-speed for a PDK.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, I'm like really liking this PDK. Doesn't it? The gearbox almost seemed to. It shifts almost really in the right spot.
It feels good. And it really just.
Look at that. Look at that. That's like half throttle. It's like the gearbox shifts perfect.
It really just feels like a tremendous amount more torque. You can really feel no lag.
Man, I just love how intuitive the gearbox seems to the power band. It's just fantastic.
And the wastegate noise is wonderful as well.
Oh yeah. You know what's really great? That's I think what I didn't like about the PDK or the tips for that matter. But the PDK also, it always seems like in the Atmo engines, they keep them buzzing so high. But in this, with half throttle, you've got more torque than you did available on the Atmo motor at full throttle. And the PDK is like perfect it's like right in it couldn't be any better. It's like half the 3/4 throttle.
Yep. You should drive in sport mode. It'll keep you a little bit higher rev. Don't do that one.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's just right.
I don't like that one. I don't like that when I'm on the track. No. Actually, when I'm on the track, I think I like sport or regular drive mode. It seems to be the best because then I can short shift the car, and once they get the shift,
it puts you right where you want to be.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. Man, you hear that gear shift? Is that cool? You can hear like a backfire through the wastegate on the gear shifts. I do like PDK. Tell me that's not freaking cool.
It feels really good.
No, the backfire between the gear shifts on the PDK.
It sounds like a RSR banging gears.
It does. It's phenomenal. I like this PDK. What a great little package. That's quarter to half throttle. That's like stock car didn't do anything like that. They're dead as a doornail. I mean, they're cool. That second gear, what's up? That's like.
Oh, it sounds great.
It's phenomenal.
It really sounds great.
What a great little car.
The responsiveness is really good too when you put your foot down.
It's really. I'll tell you what. I think the PDK on this is nicer than the turbo version.
How much different is will the manual transmission version of this system be than what we're riding in right now?
Well, as far as performance, you're going to see pretty typical of the same performance gain, Casey. The gain in the direct injection engines is a little different than with the port injector. You have more latitude with the port injector because crankshaft, the time available on the crank is greater. It's a wider window in the port versus direct injection. Your timing on the crank is very small, so the opportunity for fuel is different. So without changing injector and making a lot of other changes to the system, I don't think you're going to find it.
So this is running the factory fuel injectors.
Yes.
So that even further simplifies installation.
Oh, totally. This thing should be able to install in 1 to 2 days. This kit's fantastic. And about the only thing we're really doing in programming is we're changing the demand. What we did was we expanded the load tables and then created demand in those load ranges we're calling out for a different fuel demand.
Sure.
And also for a different ignition timing, typical to what they do on the new twin turbo. And then that load demand also, then we're changing the open loop tables, which is allowing us to also jack up the fuel rail pressure.
Right.
That's half throttle. If you give it any more than that, it's going to overrev.
Now, a lot of people are going to say, is this dangerous to the PDK transmission? I remember you telling me, I mean, if you're driving one of the factory twin turbo cars, the boost hits really strong and throws you back. It's like really violent. But in this, the way that the boost comes in is very gradual, and it keeps the car feeling like it's just a very large displacement. Is that how you feel?
It is. I mean, and there's a lot of case in point in that. You got to remember that the twin turbos, you got two small turbines that really get the manifold pressure excited rather rapidly. So they look for a big torque rise in the turbo car. We don't. I mean, I've never, even in the race cars I always built turbo, I like a large flat torque table more than I like a big jump up and a drop off because it makes the car faster.
Right.
And I tell you what, in the quarter mile, it's faster to extend the torque range out on if you're going to the road race, any any of the road courses, you're better off with a wider torque band than a PK torque band. And the PDK, to go back to your question,
Right.
The PDK transmission is a hardy transmission. I mean, basically, it's a manual gearbox with 2 clutch packs that are hydraulically controlled. They're in an oil bath, and we're nowhere near their limits. I mean, I'm not even close on the dyno. There's like no reason to alter the mapping. It's really a fantastic setup. This will it won't change the service or maintenance intervals. I think if you're going to use this car at the racetrack, if it's a PDK turbo or even the Atmo version of it, once the fluid gets beyond a certain temperature range, you're crazy not to increase your service intervals. What we've basically done is we've taken a fantastic, fabulous product that Porsche makes, this mid-engine product, and we've essentially put in a GT3 engine for $10,000. I mean, that is really what it comes down to. You've got the performance envelope of the new GT3 engine that comes in like an RS,
Right.
and you've basically now got that in the mid-engine platform. I mean, the response is instantaneous. So you've almost got the power. If you don't tell anybody it's turbo, they're going to wonder. They're going to just think you put a large Atmo engine in this
Right.
car. It really comes down to that. So I think, yes, you're always going to say, hey, how much more performance can we make? Do we want to? This has the performance envelope of a 2010 and 11 GT3. That is fabulous. And it's in the $10,000 price mark. I think, what is it, $90-some hundred for the system? Most of the dealers will do an install for $2,500 to $3,500. I'd say can't be any more on the mark than that. That's about as spot on as you get. And I don't know how many people out there have driven turbo cars that don't seem to make much power in first gear or second, because